What's up, everyone? Nick from Comic Culture here. It's Saturday. That means it's time for Nick at Night, my weekly comic book review show. But two things I want to plug real quick. So the last two nights over at Lost in Comics, we've been talking about our favorite books of the year, our favorite writers of the year, favorite letterer, colorist, breakout artist, breakout writer, all kinds of great categories. We went over that last night over at Lost in Comics. Make sure to go check those out. He's going to be compiling all those nominees, putting together a ballot for a show coming up in January, so make sure to stay tuned for that. It's going to be awesome. It was such a pleasure doing that with those guys. Thanks again for inviting me this year. Then the other thing I want to plug is the PCP Army Bad Batch. We're going to have kind of like a year-end blowout stream on Wednesday the 20th over at One Collection Down. Make sure to check that out. We're going to get as many of the guys on there, and we're just going to have a little closeout video for the year. It's going to be really fun. Make sure to check us out on Wednesday night at One Collection Down. So with those two announcements out of the way, let's get into the books I read this week. Going to start over in DC with Batman Robin Lives. This is the untold ending to Death in the Family 428. Now, I didn't know exactly how much material was going to be different from the original version, and I'm not going to go over like the details about what exactly has changed, but not a whole lot has changed based on my memory. What I think would be cool is I do have the trade for this. I don't have the single issues. It would be cool to do a page-by-page comparison. And I think I'm going to do that at some point, pending that there is a lot of differences. Based on what I remember, and I reread Death in the Family about, I think within the last year, actually. And I think they only changed a few of these pages. The majority of this book is the same as the original story, but of course, a few things are different. Jason Todd lives instead of dies. So that was okay. Was it as big of a thing as I thought it was going to be? Absolutely not. But it is cool to see this cultural event, to see this alternate ending to this cultural event. So Robin Lives 428. I would say it's still a must read, especially if you're around reading Batman back then. You got to get it just to see what the alternate ending would be. And it would be cool to do a little page-by-page flip-through comparison one day. Maybe I'll do that. What'd you guys think? Next, we have Gargoyle of Gotham from Raphael Grandpa, issue number 2. I got the Noir edition because I like the black and white vibe that this book in particular has. It is so cool to see how he's doing like Batman's cape and cowl. The villain is very dark as well. And I just love all the line work. And I do appreciate coloring, obviously, in comics, but sometimes you just like that black and white treatment because you kind of lose some of the detail if you throw some color on there. And now, of course, it's a whole different experience, but I don't think I have to justify my rationale for getting the black and white here too much. So the story is definitely different than issue number 1. Issue number 1 was the introduction to, we thought, was this villain here, but this villain might be, I don't know, a worshiper, an avatar, whatever it might be, to this more villainous character that we see a little bit inside of this book. We get a couple more, anti-heroes thrown in here as well. Some amazing little shots of Batman, which is also featured on the cover right here. Some more cool commentary between Bruce and Alfred, and we're expanding our relationship with Jim Gordon as well. They're not quite trusting each other yet. Again, this is early on in Batman's reign in Gotham, and so there's still a lot of like trust issues going on there, but we do get some collaboration as well, just kind of unraveling this mystery of who the killer really is. They think they got him. Did they, though? Probably not. And we're going to see this unfold in the future issues of Gargoyle of Gotham. Not a bad read. Different than issue number 1. Still enjoyable. What'd you think? All right, the next issue we read was Superman Lost, issue number 9 from Christopher Priest. A slept-on run from Christopher Priest, man. I think this is a great, great Superman book. I like more heady kind of books. If it's just kind of tons of action and crazy art and stuff, that's fine. That has its place, but I like introspective books. I like books that make you think. This is definitely one of those. What if Superman left Earth, was forced out of Earth for decades? He developed friendships. He developed maybe a love interest that kind of went psycho on him. He developed, people developed dependencies on him to save their planet, save their culture. And then he's trying to always find his way back home to Earth, to Lois and everybody else. And he eventually gets back home, but he has this piece of him that is still lost right now. And he's trying to reconcile with that gap, with that feeling of he gave up or abandoned this whole other culture, this whole other society, these other people that he met over the decades. And so it's a very interesting book, very cool take. We got some Lex Luthor crazy stuff in here too. He's betrayed betrayed Lois, and we figure out what that means in the previous issue or two, and it plays out through this one. And I think it's a really cool way to show how nuts Lex is in general. And then, of course, we get some of the drama that Superman thought he lost in the previous life that he lived, kind of coming back over into Earth. And so I'm really excited to see how issue 10 closes out. I can't believe there's only one issue left. I feel like there's at least 3 more issues to go in this run. I wish it was about 12 issues, and you don't say that very often. So got to be checking this one out if you're a Superman fan, because like I said, it is definitely a sleeper hit. All right, the next book was Detective Comics 1079. We have Ram V, we have Alexander on art, we have Sharp, we have Stewart, we have Waters, we have everybody on this book. It is so, so good. This is very much like an opera that Ram V has been putting together. This is kind of that intermission area right now. Batman supposedly has been taken out. We have this rescue mission Selene is trying to put together right now. The artwork is just gnarly. It's gothic. It's haunting. Absolutely beautiful shots in here. The bad guys think they won right now, but Selena has put together a very interesting team to kind of save the day. And we get to see that whole plan play out. Definitely some twists and turns. Didn't exactly go how I thought it was going to go. Lots of little surprises and things like that in this book. Absolutely loved it. It's a tone, it's a vibe, it's a feel that this book gives you that really, really kicks it over the edge for me. Makes it one of my favorite books of the year for sure. One of the best drawn, one of the most best written books as well. So this run of Detective Comics, I think, is going to go down, and it's going to stand the test of time. Great little hardcover collection, I would imagine, coming out when this is all said and done. Very hard not to pick that up if it does hit the shelves. Detective Comics, it's kind of a must read right now. All right, let's go over to Marvel real quick. We have Captain America issue number 4, kind of like a biography, a self-biography story we have taking place here. Steve is kind of living his life right now in New York, fixing up this apartment complex, helping those in need. He's also reflecting on his life as a child, growing up in like the Nazi era and having to deal with all that propaganda in the city. And of course, there's ties to the current story taking place here. We have some really powerful, smart people that are messing with like a lot of demons in possession right now, and an assassin has come out to take out Steve Rogers, Captain America right here, and we get to see exactly how powerful this guy is, what the objective is. He's trying to crush the symbol, the spirit of people, and Steve is definitely on that list. The other people that they took out, again, they're using demon magic and things like that and incantations and everything to lock away the spirit and the soul of individuals so their influence can't spread, and so they can actually take over the world and whatnot. So it's a pretty cool angle that they're approaching here. And I love the demon and how powerful he is. And I love Steve Rogers' assessment of that person's power while they're fighting. It's a really interesting book. Art's spectacular in here as well. It's one of those books that I never really anticipate, or I'm not really excited to read when it comes out, but once I'm in it, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot this book is actually really great. So Captain America number 4, we're only 4 issues in. Check it out. You can catch up pretty quickly now. I think it's worth the read. Let me know what you guys think. All right, we're going to go over to Punisher issue number 2. I don't even think this book should be called Punisher because he doesn't even consider himself the Punisher. He's just a dude on a revenge mission because coincidentally, his family was taken out by mysterious ways. We actually figure out why his family was targeted in this issue, and it's not exactly the same thing as Frank Castle's, which I think is pretty awesome. Now he says, yeah, this isn't like a skull on my vest. This is like standard issued shield armor with LEDs and whatnot. But bro, that's a skull, man. I don't know what to tell you. But this book is really fun. It definitely showcases this guy's talent. He's able to assess all these meta villains powers and use it against them in pretty creative ways. He's trying to infiltrate some powerful places, trying to find some information on some powerful people. Again, he's on that revenge mission, and he is quite skilled. And it definitely gives you Punisher vibes. But unlike Frank Castle, he actually teams up with some of the villains in here too, because at the end of the day, he's trying to get a job done, and he's not just going out killing anybody who's wicked around there. He'll gladly do that as well, but he knows when to use them to his advantage as well, which I think is pretty cool when you're talking about a new-ish Punisher character. So, Punisher issue number 2, still a good book. He's not even calling himself the Punisher. Other people are, which is kind of weird. Eventually, Frank will be back, I would imagine. He's in a pretty cool situation right now, coming out of the Jason Aaron run, kind of shepherding the kids through hell, in other words. And yeah, this Punisher run, it's interesting. I would check it out if you haven't yet. It's worth it, I think. The art's really cool, so give it a shot. Let me know what you think. Let's continue Marvel with Blade issue number 6. Now, this is one of the best Marvel books out, I think, right now. Full of action, very well drawn, and I think this is the first time they've done Blade in a great way. Like, I haven't read a lot of Blade stuff in my life, but I enjoy the representation of Blade. I like how the character is speaking. I like the interactions, how confident he is, but he also knows when he's in over his head. He's actually up against the wall right now, going over to Dracula, trying to get some knowledge from Dracula. How can I take on this threat who's just basically kicking my ass and is going to take over the world if I don't stop it? And Dracula is kind of humbled, but does show Blade where he's lacking in like his ability to give in to the animal inside him, with the vampire inside of him. He has to be less of a daywalker and more brutal, kind of pull out those native suppressed abilities that like a vampire would normally have, like it was speed and disappearing and things like and transmog and things like that. So this is kind of like a training montage, kind of an issue, trying to unlock that power. And there's some, shortcuts we take inside this book, sure, but we have a definite power up to Blade in his skills and his abilities. And so we're going to see how that translates into the next battle with this demon. So yeah, pretty cool book. Again, it's a training montage issue, but it wasn't boring, which I thought was pretty cool. Cool little team up with Dracula. We'll see where it goes. All right, Miles Morales issue number 13. Cody Ziegler is on here. The art is one of my favorite artists of the year. Federico Vincentini is on this book. And so you cannot flip through this book and not be amazed by the crazy compositions, the amount of ink, the amount of things going on, the debris, the characters, the perspectives, the 3D-ness of this book is just absolutely spectacular. So if you're not enjoying the story, which I don't know really why you wouldn't be enjoying the story, the art is one of the best books drawn this year. So where we are right now, I think I missed an issue because I read this one. I'm like, wait, how did we even get here? I thought we were teaming up with Blade and Bree and taking on some demon, and we had that new anti-hero was possessed by some kind of, or was bitten by the demon vampire guy and was kind of wrecking shop right now. So I'm pretty sure I missed an issue, but you know what? It did not take away from this because this was an action fest issue right here. Of course, we have Misty and some other allies teaming up with Miles, taking on this threat. They're like these pharaoh worshippers. There's a giant moment in here where one of them becomes gigantic and starts wrecking shop, and then they have to team up and use their combined powers to take on this threat. And we get some cool backstory kind of about the blade that Miles is able to summon out, that like energy blade that he has. So it's pretty cool to see how he was trained and how to use that, and how he was trained to collaborate with other heroes, because he's kind of been on his own for a little while. And so that was really cool. So the art's spectacular. The story is still good. Great team up moments. Misty Nite shows in this series a lot, and she's really cool too. Again, a character I don't really know a whole lot about, shown in a positive light, and I'm digging it, man. I'm digging it. So Miles, I'm going to keep going with this one because I like everything I'm seeing inside of here. I think Gang War is going to screw this up for me because I'm not buying all the Gang War stuff. I might have to try to find it somewhere. I don't know. But I feel like we're going to get a lot of Gang War tie-ins now, and the story, the main lines are going to stop for a minute, get on this Gang War bandwagon, then jump back on, and who knows what that's going to do to the overall pace of the book. I mean, we're like 13 issues in right now, so I'm really hoping it doesn't jack up too much stuff. I don't know. If you guys read Miles, let me know what you think about it. Over to Image, we have the Infield Gang Massacre. Man, this book is crazy good. So if you haven't been reading this one, the art in here alone is worth picking this up. Just check out this, man. The colors, the shot, it's very cinematic in the way that it's drawn. It's drawn in a way that I've just never seen before. And it's just so cool. The page quality, it's almost like this newsprint. So it gives you not only that story of like a Western vibe and everything, but it also gives you the feel, the tactile feel of an older book. And I think that really sells the entire story. Now, this is an explanation of the big betrayal, like how we actually got here. The Infield Gang is not necessarily responsible for this murder in town, which led to this huge manhunt and this basically the slaughter, but we actually get a lot of confessions in here, and we get an arrest at the end as well. So I think things are going to be coming to a close, maybe. I don't think this is an ongoing. It's going to be coming to a close, I would imagine, pretty soon, and some more shit's going to hit the fan, I guarantee it, inside this book. Crazy ride. If you're into Westerns, even if you're not, if you like really well-drawn books, great gun battles, things like that, definitely check this one out. Next, from Critical Entertainment, we have Planetary Expansion issue number 1. Really looking forward to this series. Great overall presentation on here. We're featuring a guy right now. This is set in the future. We're featuring a guy that's teaming up with somebody. He's got a shady past, doing some like assassinations. We're going to probably uncover a little bit of that, I would imagine, in future issues, exactly what he was into. But some of his past is chasing him now, and he's trying to do everything he can do to get off this planet. There's actually a shuttle that's going to take people to the next like Goldilocks zone planet nearby, and they've advanced their technology so much where they can get faster than light speed, and they can get to different locations. And there's a whole crew, there's a manifest that's been put together. Some people that were on standby now have a chance to get on, so it's a pretty cool like cultural view. Like some people think it's a death trap to go out there. Other people are looking at it like our main character as a way to escape their past and move on. So I'm really digging the story right here. I'm excited to see if this guy can actually make it on this ship, if some of his troubles carry forward onto the ship as well. Or, you know what, this would actually be really cool is if we focus on other people in the similar situation. We know about this guy's past. There's a lot of things you can do with this kind of a story. We know about this guy's past, what he wants to do. Maybe he gets on that ship and lives happily ever after. What if we focused on somebody else as well? Or continue this guy's story. There's a lot of cool things you can do with a story like this. So I like the setup a lot. They did a really good job of doing that. So I'm excited to see where this book goes. It's been really entertaining getting through this first issue. And yeah, I'm super pumped. So check out Critical Entertainment's Planetary Expansion if you haven't yet. Space Usagi issue number 1 from Dark Horse Comics. We have Stan Sakai over here. This was a really cool Usagi book. I wish most Usagi books were like this because it's almost like a complete story in a way. Some of the other ones are kind of a slow burn. I think they would feel really good in a trade format. Not a lot happens in a lot of Usagi books. Of course, there's a lot of battles and a lot of cuteness and things like that with that little like dark undertone, of course. But a lot happens in this one issue. And so I'm like, wow, we did a whole lot in this single issue here. We introduced this whole like Space Corps and Usagi's place in this galaxy, what his role is. He gets commended for his tactics in battle, so he gets promoted to watch over like the Emperor's son and to train him because he needs to be trained and he's a piece of crap right now. There's like betrayals that they show inside this book. Somebody that was supposed to do their job in Usagi's ranks did not do their job, and it opens up an opportunity for some betrayal and some counterattacks from the original battle that we saw. There's a lot of good dramatic moments and shots in here. So the story really takes off in this single issue right here. And I wish we had that same kind of pacing and progression in other Usagi books. It almost feels like you're reading a trade in here. And yeah, I can't wait to see the next one, man. This one's going to be really cool. So issue number 1 of 3 is out. And yeah, I would highly recommend this one. Even if you're kind of falling off all the Usagi books, this one feels different to me. So make sure to check this one out. All right, and the last book we had was from IDW, Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, the best title in comics today, issue number 2. What a great issue number 1, first off. I think it made my top book of the month whenever that issue came out. And we talked about this issue, this writer, this artist, several times in the last 2 days over at Lost in Comics. We're talking about the best comics and whatnot of the year. This issue was very similar to issue number 1. It didn't have that, it had a shock value at the end of this issue, but it didn't have as big of a shock as issue number 1, but it adds to the drama, and it actually turns issue number 2 into a detective style book because the main character that we are following in issue number 1, we still follow in this one, but she's trying to uncover some of the clues, and we get a lot of the social commentary among people in the town wondering like who this killer is, who could have possibly done this. We get that, loud Karen character as well in here, kind of like throwing her weight around a lot and kind of tempting fate in a way, and we get to see the outcome of that. It's still brutal, it's still gory. It's almost like noirish in a way, in a weird way, but it has that Berenstain Bears vibe to it. So it's a really cool mashup of feels and everything. So I would continue to say this book is one of the best books out there right now, especially if you're into like horror crime kind of books. Definitely be checking out Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. If this continues to go on into 2024, I'm sure it's a book we're going to be talking about on a lot of different lists. So make sure to check this one out now. So guys, that's everything I read this week. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know down below in the comments what you read and what your favorite books of the week were. While you're down there, hit the like button, subscribe button, check out the join button as well. I would really appreciate it. But as always, we thank you again for watching. See you in the comments.